Hey, awesome. So we're going to learn two new theorems today. That'll be helpful on our triangles. One of them, I would say, I feel like we've already been using this theorem, but we'll make it official here. Okay, maybe you didn't know it, so I'll teach it to you here. So that's the triangle sum theorem. So it just says that the sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So if I add all these up, it always equals to 180 degrees on a triangle. Okay. Now, that is going to be different for different shapes. We'll talk about the other shapes and what they add up to in a few months here. But for triangles, it's always adding up to 180, okay? All right, awesome. Then the next one is called the exterior angle sum theorem. This one's probably the one you don't know and kind of do need to learn about. And so this one says, all right, if I have these two angles on this side, all right, angles 2 and 3. And then I have this angle 1 that's created like by drawing a straight line out of one of these sides. Then angle 1 is always going to equal measure of angle 2 plus measure of angle 3. So it's just the opposite two interior angles is always equal to the one exterior angle, the one on the outside. So we'll be using that one a few times today as well, okay? All right, so let's jump down and look at our practice problems to see what we're going to be doing here. Okay, so our first one here, you can see that these are all interior angles. We have the three interior angles. And so we know that those three angles need to add up to 180. So I'm just going to go 24 plus 37 plus x equals 180. Now I use x there, kind of just an arbitrary variable. We could have said like measure of angle 1 if we wanted to. I wouldn't just put 1 because might be confusing because I might think it's an actual 1 when really it's like angle 1. So I don't want to get confused there. So I would probably just use a variable, a letter like x, okay? All right, awesome. So now we can just combine like terms with these two. So that makes 61 plus x equals 180. All right, and then we can subtract 61 from each side. And so then x would equal actually our answer here, which would be, shoot, I have my calculator handy. I should be able to do this without, but I did bring my calculator home with me. And so this is 119. All right, awesome. That's it. Any questions on the first one? Or if you have any questions throughout, you can just type them in. Probably the chat is the best way to do it. So that way I can kind of keep going and then answer the questions as I see them. All right. Next question is this one. So this one, number 2 here, is asking us about this exterior angle. So this is that formula we talked about where we can actually say the measure of angle 1 just equals the opposite two interior angles. And so that would just be the 76 and the 52. We can add those together and get our answer. Okay, so 76 plus 52 would be 128. And that is literally it. All right, so if they're asking you about that exterior angle, that's what you can do. Just add together those two interior angles. Nice and easy. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right, next one, number 3. Now this one is again an exterior angle. And so we know the exterior angle is supposed to add up to the two opposite interior angles. So I'm going to call this one x. And so for this one, it's a little trickier. What we can do is say x plus 79 equals 104. So this one, it did not give us the two interior angles. It gave us one of them and the exterior angle. And so what I need to do is set it up like this. So the two interior angles are still adding together. It's just that one of them's unknown, and then it equals to 104. So I'll just subtract 79 from each side. All right, and so 104 minus 79, I'm going to do that on the calculator again. And I get 25. So that's it. Any questions on that one? Okay. Let's go down and do number 4. Looks like it is going to get a little bit tougher here, okay? All right, so we're looking at number 4, and obviously it has several angles on it, 1, 2, and 3. And I see 3 triangles here. So we have the small triangle on the left, and then we have what I would call like a medium triangle on the right. But then also remember, we do have like a big triangle, which is like these 2 triangles put together. Okay. Um, so we'll go ahead and solve the um problem here. Okay, so I would actually start on the small triangle on the left. And so I know on the small triangle on the left, I have 2 of the angles. And so I just need that third one. And so I can say 66 plus 84 plus, I'll call this x, is supposed to equal up to 180. Okay, so then if I combine like terms here, that gives me 150 plus x equals 180. I did that in my head, the 66 plus 84. Let me just double check that. Yep, it is 150. Okay, so we'll subtract the 150. And we can see that x equals 30. Okay, so that would be our angle 1. Okay, next up, what would I do next? There's a couple different ways you could do this question. I think what I would do next, I would actually use an old rule, and I would see that 84 and that angle 3 right there actually are making a straight line together. And so I actually know that if I call this y, like on a straight line like that, 84 plus y has to equal 180. Because they're sharing a straight line. A straight line always adds up to 180. So now we know a triangle always adds up to 180, but a straight line also always adds up to 180, okay? All right, so then I can subtract the 84 from each side and get that y equals 96. And so I can put that right there. It's 96. That is angle 3, you can see, not angle 2. Another way I could have done this one as well, now that we know that this one right here is 30, we could have used that new formula we learned today, actually. And so, like, if we need angle y, we can add together these 2 opposite interior angles, 66 plus 30. You can see that actually would have given us the same answer. So 2 different ways we could have gotten that same answer, okay? All right, last one we need here is angle 2. Okay, so angle 2 is up here. I'll go ahead and call it z. Okay. And so what we can do for that one, I would look at this triangle. And so now that we know that angle y is 96, we have 2 angles on the triangle. So we can say 96 plus 43 plus z, which is representing angle 2, is supposed to add up to 180 because that's all together in that medium-sized triangle on the right. So now we can combine like terms here. So 139 plus angle z equals 180. And then if we subtract 139 from each side, I get that z equals 41. So I can go ahead and write that there. I didn't show this step, but I did a minus. Here, I think I can squeeze it in here. Minus 139 on both sides, which would cancel that out. Awesome. So that's it for number 4. Once again, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat and I'll make sure I can address them. Okay. Awesome. So now next up, we got number 5. The first thing I'm noticing on number 5 is I actually see angle 2 here. I can get right away. Angle 2 is like the vertical angle with angle 61. So those are always equal. If you remember from a previous chapter, that's those vertical angles are always the same across from each other like that. We sometimes call them the bow tie angles. So that one is 61 here, okay? Now, next thing I would do is I would find angle 1. So for that one, using that top triangle there, we can say 61 plus 68 plus x has got to equal 180 since it's all together on a triangle if angle 1 represents x. Okay, so 129 plus x equals 180. Subtract the 129 and x equals, what does it equal? 51. So 180 minus 129 is just 51. That's good. Okay. Awesome. And then one more here, we have angle 3. Okay, so angle 3, I'm going to use the same thing. Now we know that this one is 61. I'm going to go ahead and call angle 3, I'll call it y. So I can say 61 plus 90 plus y equals 180. Why am I using 90? Well, if we take a look, it's got that little box in the corner. And so that box is always equal to 90. It's a right angle. So that can always count as one of my angles here. So we'll add those together, which is not 131. Why did I write that? Let's try again. 61 plus 90 is 151 plus y equals 180. So we'll minus the 151 from both sides, and we get y equals 180 minus 151 is 29. Sorry, I wrote that kind of sloppy. So there we go. 51, 61, and 29. All right, let's move it along to our next. I think we got 2 more questions here. Oh, wait, before we move on, I wanted to actually mention something I noticed here on the one we just did, number 1. Um, why can we let why wasn't angle 1 the same as angle 3? Okay, so these look to me like alternate interior angles. So usually alternate interior angles are congruent. So why aren't these the same? Well, the reason is because this line up here is not perpendicular to this line right there. So in order to have that alternate interior relationship or any relationship that we learned about like those ones, they need to be parallel lines across from each other, like the 2 green ones I did. I think you can see that those are not parallel, so that's why that would not work. Okay, and I wanted to say that because actually, let's go ahead and do number 7 first. So this one, it says they are parallel. That's what this one means, is that they are parallel. And so that means we can use those tricks, those alternate interior angles and stuff. Um, and so for that reason, do I have any alternate interior angles here? Yeah, actually I do. Like this 73 is going to be alternate interior with angle 1. So that's going to be 73 as well. So I can already tell angle 1 is 73 because of alternate interior angles. And I can also do the same with angle 4 and 49. Those are going to be alternate interior angles as well. So that's nice. Now, is angle 3 is alternate interior? It's actually alternate interior with angle 2 and number 49 together. So that's going to be a little bit tricky on us. I'm probably going to use a different technique to find angle 3. But I know that this one would be 49. Okay, so how can we find some other missing angles on this one? I think I'd use some linear pairs next. So remember, that's like if angle 3 and angle, I'm going to call angle 3, I'll call it x. So I can do x plus 73 equals 180 right there. They're sharing a straight line, you can see. So anytime it's sharing a straight line, we can add them together and equal it to 180. So I minus 73 from each side, and we get x equals 107 for angle 3. Okay, so then I can do a similar thing for angle 5 over on the other side. Do it in blue. So these 2 angles share a straight line. So I'll call angle 5 y. And we can say 49 plus y equals 180 minus the 49 from each side. And y equals 131. So that would be angle 5. All right, and then the last one we need is angle 2. So for angle 2, a couple different ways I could do it again. That often happens in these where it's like there's a few different ways you could do it. But the way I think I would do it is I would use this inside triangle right here. So we know the inside of a triangle, what we learned today is that it has to add up to 180. So I ran out of letters. Or no, I didn't. I'll go ahead and use A here. So 73 plus 49 plus A equals 180. You can see we actually could have done this with like the top is a straight line. So this straight line up top is made up of 3 angles. So those would have to add up to 180. You can actually see it's the same numbers. It's 73, A, and 49. So if we did it that way, it would add up to 180. We did it in here, it also adds up to 180. So that happens a lot where it's like, okay, I can do the same thing 2 different ways. So this would add together, combine like terms be 122 plus A equals 180 minus 122 from both sides. And A equals 58. Okay, there's our last angle. Great. All right, last problem here. What we can do is I would find angle 1 first by just doing 75 plus 41 plus x equals 180. So 116 plus x equals 180 minus the 116. And so x equals 64. That's angle 1. Okay. And then I would actually do angle 3 next is what I would do. So I'll call this one y for angle 3. And so that one I can say 90 plus 54 plus y equals 180. So for that one, I'm using that box as a 90 again for the right angle. So it'd be 144 plus x equals 180 on that triangle on the right, minus the 144 from each side. X equals 36. Okay, and last one we got is angle 2 here. Angle 2, I can't do that exterior angle theorem because really that would be like 2 plus 90 would equal these two together. So I could do that. So 2 plus 90, because that would be the exterior angle equals these two together. How I would actually do it a little bit differently, the way I'm seeing this problem, is that these three angles right here need to add up to 180 because they all make a straight line together. So we know that angle 1 is 64 now. So I'm going to say 64 plus, let's call angle 2, let's call it A. So 64 plus A plus, and then that last angle there is 90. That's going to all add up to 180 because it's sharing a straight line. Those three angles are sharing a straight line. So 64 plus 90 is 154 plus A equals 180. Okay. 180 minus 154 is 26. So that would go there.